Let me, before you start, Peter, you can see who's on Zoom. Alan is here. Let me just see this camera here. Let everybody introduce themselves. Alan and Susan are here. Joan, you want to introduce yourself?
Joan Grayson from Springfield.
Sure. Okay. And you?
Barbara Carr from Woodlawn.
Okay. Tiffany just walked in.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
So that's who's here. And Jeff, of course, is here. So that's who's here in the room, Peter. So go ahead.
Now that's our roll call. That's good. All right. So we can call to order the September 19th meeting of the Grounds Committee. Do I have confirmation of proper notice?
Notice is posted on the 30th of August in accordance with the requirements.
All righty.
Got a copy of the minutes of the last meeting.
Yeah, it's attached to this.
Oh. It's not attached.
We'll review the minutes.
Yeah.
Has everybody had a
Surprise.
everybody had a chance to review the minutes of our previous meeting? Any corrections, deletions, additions?
I had just two or three little changes. On page 2, under committee comments, it says T. Conklin reported she felt the committee should consider planting a butterfly garden. I just want to change that to like a native garden, Florida-friendly garden, bird garden, something. And only because we were saying that we would maybe look at a butterfly garden later, just because of some limitations that we have. So if I could change that, that would be great. And then removal of the Schefflera tree growing inside another tree. If we want to be specific, it's a jacaranda tree, but if that's fine. And then following that, it says trim the chlorotic oak at the entrance to V cluster. I think the treatment is only for like a fertilizer treatment. I don't think any trimming is going to be done. So maybe trim could be changed to treat, and that would, wrap it all up fine for me.
No reason why we can't.
Okay, thanks.
I'll move to accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
Okay. All right. Let me see. The only thing I want to say is lately there's been a big undercurrent of talk about, brown this, brown that, everything. For years, this guy has been a dependable, competitive vendor, and we've had storms, we have had problems, and he's there right away to help us. I depend on him thoroughly and I trust him. And just as an example,
He's good.
I know if we had taken Brown up to that tree that we were talking about having to move from the electric lines, he would have looked at it and he would have turned around and said to us, no guarantee on it, and it's way too expensive. So this is the kind of guy he is. And it's only because of the talking about the palm trees and everything, there's been a lot of undercurrent about him. But I just like my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, Brown's going nowhere. And if he misses a palm tree now or two, next time when he comes back, he'll get it. It's not a big deal. But it's, I just really want to stick with this guy. That's all I got to say about it. All right.
I agree with you, Peter.
All right.
I think that all of the jobs should be up for a bid. I mean, we just, can't take anyone without knowing what the bid's going to be. And that's, what our managers does is get bids from people.
Yeah, we always have, and he's always been competitive.
And I think we should continue to get bids from him. I'm saying don't eliminate him. I'm saying that, don't No.
No.
Shut the door on anybody else trying.
No, I wasn't saying that. What I was talking about is the, undercurrent of people, complaining about Brown. That's what I was talking about.
Well, I think later in the meeting, there's a discussion of tree trimming, and I'm one of the ones that is not happy with him, and I'll be happy to talk about it then.
All right.
I agree with Chris. I'll also throw in my 2 cents at that time.
Staff reports, Jeff?
Yes, sir. For Wildwood Spring Boulevard, 300, that's across from cluster H, we put 2 crepe myrtles.
Refrigerator.
Which we took from the tennis court area. We also
In the
a
refrigerator,
palm tree at the end of the boulevard in the
on the
field
door.
at no charge, which we also took away from the
Butter and cream cheese.
palm tree tennis court area.
I have a question about that because that palm tree was a replacement for a willowy type tree that attracted butterflies that failed in one of
What
the
happened?
rains. And all of a sudden one day it wasn't there anymore. I thought maybe they were making room for trucks to be able to get to the whatever.
Yeah, that's what they were actually taking out so the trucks could get into to
Okay,
take care of the tennis courts.
so as long as there's gonna be something there someday. Okay,
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. Right now, I think we're just waiting for the ground to dry out enough so they can go in. and
yeah,
do
it was
tennis
wet
courts.
and, yeah.
It's still wet.
If I may, it's interesting to me, most of these palm trees lately have been either donated by owners that don't want them in their courtyard or what have you. And of course, that tree wasn't destroyed, it was moved, right, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
And
It might have
if you
been
go around-
endangered because it was so wet there too.
Actually,
If you
when I
currently
put it
go
in,
around
about
right
3 feet
now,
high.
I think
Oh, okay.
last week, I'm sorry. If you go around currently now, I think I've counted 5 palm trees growing up in hedges in the wild areas that must be bird droppings or what have you. So I think we can gain 4 or 5 more of those type of trees just by digging them out of hedge areas. So I think we're going to be ahead of the game.
I think typically it's a queen palm.
Yeah.
And they tend to propagate very, very easily.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with Chris. I've noticed the most queen palms coming up and yeah, I think it's because they are a little bit more aggressive, weedier kind of palm. But they are also more susceptible to diseases. So that's, the flip side of that is they could fail more easily than some of our other palms could.
Okay, my balance for the plantings only is $5,624.98. The rainfall total for the month of August was 19.7 inches. Which,
Okay, any questions for Jeff?
Yeah, the only thing that I would like to add is that, Jeff, your total is off by the amount of contract we did with the Arts Arbor, which was about $4,600, because that would come out of that category.
I kind of figured, that's why mine only says plantings only.
But you wouldn't have known that yet, okay?
No,
Okay,
So
any
our
other-
planning budget is about used up for the year.
okay,
we get about $1,000 left.
all right. We have owner's request.
First thing I have on there is just an update on the 141 Pinehurst status. The board has agreed to set a budget of $8,600 to remove the wall and finish the stump grinding. We're in the process of getting 2 other bids to see if we can get a better bid or not. And once that is confirmed, we'll move forward, put that all behind us.
Okay, any questions on the 141 situation? All righty, and we had that one request, John.
one, 164, I'm sure many of you've gone back there. Here again, we kind of know what's going on. They originally asked for a wall, and it looked like the board was seriously considering it, but then we got the ruling from the attorney about usurping common ground, which it really is. And so we came up with a planting plan, but that plans did not work. They proposed a protocarpus hedge that would give them some privacy. And we've allowed that type of thing in other areas, such as Grace Anzalone's with different plantings. We planted the ones for Anzalone. I think these people are proposing to do it by themselves, but we also did some major planting of protocarpus for Anna Matthews at 371 a few years ago, and we kind of went 50-50. So I don't know what the board or what the committee wants to do, whether they wish to approve or disapprove, or if they wish to fund a portion of it, or whatever they wish to do, but that's the request.
Okay, so the actual question for the committee is, I mean, I think it's a valid request to give these people some privacy. It worked good for Grace, but the only question is, the committee give us feedback on whether we should just let them pay for it like they suggested, or chip in with them. What do we have for comments?
Well, if you only have
The only-
$1,000 left in your budget, I'd say let them do it.
I also had a question about that additional little patio, because we are making someone else remove a patio because it was too big. And, that's part of the discussion probably later today. So they have a patio, in this thing. And this,
To my knowledge, Sue, was it Sue? I'm sorry.
yeah,
To my knowledge, that was there before them. I don't think they put that in. I mean, I'm not sure.
I think it's concrete too. I don't think it's like a patio stone. I think it's actually concrete, and that's been in for years.
okay.
So
I
it's
didn't
kind of
know.
a grandfather.
Because it was planned as kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, is that existing or, because I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm sure that's existing.
It's still common ground.
No question.
Right.
But so are all the other little patios that we put out.
Exactly.
So,
Well, it
So
would
what
seem to me, that the hedge makes some sense and gives them some privacy. How many plants do you think, John?
Well, I look at the X's, and I think they're going to probably, if I know the area well and the way it grows to what, about 2 feet wide, Jeff, if we do something like that.
Podocarpus is very slow growing. It's not a fast growing plant whatsoever.
Well, I know it's very slow growing, but I mean, if
With the
you
height
look
that it
with-
wants.
in 2 years in front of 371, she's got a beautiful little wall and everything else, and I'm just trying to visualize. I think the width ultimately comes to about 2 feet. If I'm wrong or not, that's what I'm asking.
Normally you plant them 2 to 3 feet apart.
Yeah,
So, I mean, she has, looks like 8 plants there, and I think that would actually work for the area.
yeah. I was thinking maybe 10, but at the most, yeah.
My next question is, if it's a wall, it's a courtyard and they take care of it. If it's a bunch of hedges, are we still taking care of that inner part? Because it's going to be difficult to get a mower or anything in there, and it's going to add a lot more work for our crew to be
There's
able
no
to
grass
do
or
these
anything in there. It's
private
all mulch.
non-courtyards.
It's all mulch there. There's nothing in there.
Yeah, but
They-
in future, what happens,
They're interested in maintaining it. And we can tie that to it if you wish.
I think you need to, otherwise you're gonna end up with a bunch of maintenance issues.
We could put a post with a white button on it.
Well,
My bike got
and one of the things that I think we should stipulate is that they really can't put more pavers down,
No,
can't do some of the things that it looks like has been done in the past there. There's the walkway, which she shows here, that are pavers. They're
no,
not tight,
no, they're stepping stones.
right? And so, but we want to limit what they can do to that area because it is common ground.
Yeah,
What,
but did,
so what we're
did it-
saying is the only changes to be made are the new planting, correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff, didn't we put that walkway in before me?
We put the walkway to go into pool 4, yes, but stepping stones or anything, we didn't do any of that. The previous
Well,
owner
what-
did.
What are those pink stones that you have to fix all the time?
Those
That
are, those are.
Doesn't extend that far? Okay,
No,
all
but
right,
they don't go that far, no.
okay, all right.
No, just the walkway that, where it says walkway, that's the only thing that we've done.
Okay, all right, my error.
Yes,
And I believe, isn't there a pipe going under the walkway to help drain that area?
yes.
Yes,
What would the cost of the plants be for if we did 10? Ballpark.
I think, they're about $15 each, Jeff?
About $15, yeah, a piece. To $150.
I guess I don't mind the association paying for those.
What you're saying, Chris, is we'll pick up the tab on them?
Yeah, I mean, I would lean towards that.
How about we set a budget of 150, and if they need 3 or 4 more, it's up to them, just in case.
Sounds good.
That sounds reasonable.
yeah.
So it's down to, we'll pay the 150, up to $150, and we'll make a stipulation that no other changes will be made to that area, and that they'll maintain the planting. That sound right?
Hey, Pete, I was going to suggest that they not maintain the planting so that we know it's done right.
Maintain the inside.
They maintain the inside, but the
Okay,
itself is,
and we'll take care of the outside and top. Right?
Yeah, makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, well, we
All
can
right.
still keep an eye on what's going on the inside.
And there's gonna be an opening, I think. They
Yes.
wanted an opening so they could go to the pool from there.
They actually wanted a gate, and we said no.
Yeah. Do we need a motion?
Please,
Uh,
So move
No.
that we limit the planting expense to 150 and that they maintain inside the area,
and no appreciable changes to the topography.
right?
exactly. That sounds correct to me.
Second that motion.
All right.
Alan?
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Can I say one more thing under staff report before we move on, please?
Sure.
I was asked to get some prices on new tractors. And I know we're in budget time and everything like that, but the new tractors, first of all, I looked for used, and for what we're looking for right now, they're very scarce, very scarce. But both the John Deere and the Kubota, and of course, we have a Kubota now that we bought used in 2003. Is that it, Jeff?
They bought it in bought it in 2000.
Yeah. So we got 24 years out of the Kubota, so it's a pretty dependable machine. But they run anywhere between $9,000 and $12,000, depending on what options you want. Have them. If you want air conditioning, it goes up to $25,000.
Yeah, all right.
I've seen our guys driving 90 miles an hour. I don't know if they need air conditioning.
I don't think the tractor ever went that fast, but I think the lawnmowers do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Not anymore.
John, when do you think
Yes.
we should, address or approve to buying a new tractor?
Well, the situation is, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's jumping out of gear. We've been pouring money into it lately. Am I right, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
What's the most, I mean, we had to we had to change tires on the rear tire, and they were actually molded onto the base. We actually had to spend a couple $100 to have somebody come out and almost unweld it. So, I mean, it's truly on its last legs, and as I said, we've really got our money out of that thing. So it could be recommendation to the board now to move forward.
I kind of leaning towards move forward instead of keeping putting a Band-Aid on this thing. Now,
I
is that,
completely agree.
yeah,
Yes.
It's money.
I agree.
Well, it sounds like a safety issue, so, you know.
yeah, definitely is, yep. And what about the trailer, Jeff?
I didn't get any prices on the trailer.
All right, so you're just gonna go with the tractor for now?
Well, the trailer is on its last legs too, but we can look at that, but for a safety issue, the tractor is numero
Okay.
uno.
All right, so, then, so do I have a motion here?
Well, I have one quick question. Is there any sort of like bundled package deal that could be had by getting a tractor and a trailer together?
We'll look at it. We'll look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I
we'll
ask,
look at it.
what would happen to the old tractor? Is it saleable at all, or would we just have to scrap it, or what would we do with the old trailer?
I'm sure we could find somebody. Eddie might ship it to Mexico. You never know.
Can we get some money for it?
We can try.
Wherever you purchase the new one, they may take a trade-in.
You know.
Especially the Kubota people.
Trust me, it's being held together now with chewing gum and duct tape and everything else, so you're not gonna get anything for it.
Jeff,
When I
just-
mentioned the year and everything to him, he said, well, we won't charge you to pick it up and dispose of it.
That answers that question.
Okay.
All right.
Is there a motion to recommend to the board?
I
I make a
motion-
motion.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Yep.
I make a motion to recommend to the board that should I say purchase a new tractor and trailer?
Yeah, well, a tractor and trailer, we still might find a really, really good used one, but the fact that we need it should be passed to the board and you know, they'll do the ultimate first.
Great, sounds good.
You're doing a concept here. Yeah.
Did we get a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So the next thing we got, John, is the trimming project.
Was the only one that did that.
Yeah.
Well, that's on there because
We already,
Never
yeah,
read them
I know there was some
later, but
comments
at
that
least
wish
it helps me
to be
set it
made,
in my
so
brain to
I'll let
begin
that
with.
open up. Chris.
Like taking class, notes for class.
I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
No, I said that's on there so we could have the comments because we put it on every year after the tree trimming is done. And this way we get the thoughts and to move forward with what we wish to do.
Are we at comments now?
Oh,
good.
For the tree trimming,
Oh,
the issue I have with it, Peter, and for the rest of the committee is that for 3 years, we have asked Brown to cut the sable palms in a 9-3 formation, and they don't do it. They didn't do it last year. They didn't do it this year. A lot of the trees were cut 10-2, and you can find some of them that were cut 11-1. So the request we had for trimming them 9-3 was not followed through by Brown, and they haven't done it. They didn't do it last year either, and
the year before.
they just aren't following what we've asked them to do.
Yeah, I agree with Chris. I don't mind continuing to use browns if they're able to do the cut that we're asking for. But yeah, it's been 3 years. The first 2 years, we just kind of excused it. This third year, we even attempted to make a cut guides to hand out to all of the employees so that they knew what kind of cut we wanted, and there would be very clear communication there. But even with that guide, even with it in English and Spanish, we still didn't get the cut that we all voted unanimously for and the board passed. So they're really in violation of the board vote. And we either need to come up with a way for them to follow our instructions, or I think we have perfect grounds after 3 years of them not following directions to look at other vendors who would be able to do the cut for us.
How many trees are they, roughly how many trees are they not doing?
Almost all of them. They actually, I will give them credit. They did a good job with the Senegal dates and the Canary Island dates. Those actually do look like they're 9 to 3. So whichever employee was handling those did a good job. But the sables, to Chris's point, probably 100% of them are not the correct cut.
That would be almost 1,000 trees.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what do you think, John? We have a talk with Brown about it?
Well, first of all, Tiffany's right on. She did give us a very detailed plan.
Yeah.
And they were given both to John Brown and to basically he had 4 crews in this time. And so the trimmers, all the actual trimmers received the materials. None of them were needed to be given in Spanish. They're all American trimmers. As you know, we're out there every day asking them to do what they do, and you come back and you see that it's not up there. And I did tell John Brown that he was going to get some serious comeback on what they did, and he understands it's going to come. He doesn't necessarily agree with our philosophy, but you know, we're the client. What can I say?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah, we're allowed
maybe
to ask for what we
maybe
want.
that's
And
why maybe that's why they don't ultimately do it. You know, because if you talk to them and their arborists, they say something different. So, but that's neither here nor there. We should get what we want.
Yeah. And I do want to give a quick shout out to John. Thank you for being on top of them. I feel like every day we sent you an email asking you to talk to them. So thanks for handling it.
Yeah, yeah. And they certainly follow through on the queens and everything else because their philosophy is right along with ours as far as they really shouldn't be cut, or even the big tall royals should be self-dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. They do trim the other palms, the big palms, the way the 10-2 like they should. One of the things that we were told by one of the other arborists that we've talked to is that when they trim too much off the sables try to compensate by putting out more seed pods. And so one of the things that's going to happen with the way they've trimmed is that we're going to find more seed pods on these trees because the tree's trying to make up for over trimming.
Yeah.
And so
Well, they haven't been as over trimmed, so the amount of seed pods should be decreasing a little bit, even though they're not doing as.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, it's hard because
I don't want to be too pessimistic. There should be a fewer seed pods because they are. And for the people that don't understand what a sable palm is, it's also called a cabbage palm. It's also called a palmetto palm. So
yeah.
That's the majority. That's the majority of our palms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It,
by
it,
far.
I would be interested to go around and do a survey of the seed pods to see if we have had any change, but I honestly wouldn't expect
I don't think it'd
too
be-
much since the trim hasn't changed as drastically as what we've been wanting it to. I will say that when we first surveyed the palms, when we were initially talking about doing this trim change back 3 years ago, my research had turned up that, and I know I mentioned this at the board meeting, so I'm sorry for those of you who are hearing it a second time, but for the committee's sake, that a sable palm usually only has about 4 bearing branches every year, and some of our palms are having 12. So we're having 3 times the number of berries that a healthy tree would have because our trees are so stressed out. And both arborists that we had come in, Tyler and Tammy, not associated with Browns, they have their own companies. Both of them mentioned how
see.
stressed our palms looked and that they really looked like they were overflowering, over-pollinating, overberrying. The fronds are growing all laggy and long. They're not nice and green and concentrated how they should be if they were healthy. So there really is quantifiable evidence that a larger cut could really help these trees. And I would be happy if Browns could do that for us because they are always an economical price. But these are just our thoughts, having seen it for the last 3 years, how it pans out.
So basically what we're getting at is the sable palms, 9 and 3
Yeah.
have to be done like that. And if they aren't, then we got to do something else, right? I mean, that's it. Yep.
I
Okay.
guess. Yeah, but don't want to lose the relationship with Browns that you mentioned, Peter, that like
Yeah.
they're always here for us after storms. That is a really nice benefit.
Yeah.
And so, I'd be happy to have a conversation with their on-staff arborist. That's actually something that I would love to do if you guys would, set me up with them somehow. Maybe we can work with them to get what we want, and not have to look elsewhere.
If I may, Tiffany, as far as I've seen, the budget committee has accepted your committee's budget, which includes money for an arborist. And I think should we go to an arborist, you might want to top the 2 or 3, including theirs, just to see what the thoughts are. And then the committee can pick who they wish to go with. But there is a budget for it this year.
Oh, fabulous. That's great. I'm glad to hear it got approved. And yes, we can definitely do that.
So you want to, we'll go that way first. All right.
All right. That's fine.
All right.
Do
Okay.
you guys know the name of Brown's arborist, just so I know who to ask for if I call them?
Now, I'll get it when I come back.
Okay.
But there's 2 on staff, so.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Yeah, mhm.
That sounds like a good way to go. All right. Do we have any other committee comments?
Oh, I've got more.
What?
If you don't
Okay.
mind that I talk a little bit more.
Yep.
I just wanted to give a couple updates on some of the projects that a few of us were running. We had at the last meeting contracted Tyler with Arborist Arts to come out and do the 3 treatments to the Canary Island date palms, which have been suffering a little bit this year, well, in all years. But anyways, they're looking a little yellow, a little rotty. And he did confirm that because they're a desert palm and we live in a tropical environment, they get 10 times the water that they're supposed to get. And so they get a little squishy when that happens and things go bad. So anyways, he was going to come out and apply fertilizers, insecticides, 3 different treatments that he thought would be beneficial to the palms. Also, we contracted the oak outside of Gus's cluster V oak to also get some treatments to try to help boost its growth because it's chlorotic, which means that it's not photosynthesizing properly and it's dropping a lot of leaves and is just looking like it could die at any time. And then the third thing we were going to have him do was out actually by Hank's on the way to pool 6. We were going to have him cut Chef Lara out of a jacaranda to save the jacaranda because the Schefflera is in danger of splitting it in half and shouldn't be there. And all three of those projects were scheduled for, I think, last week or this Monday, I think it was, but I did get a call from Tyler. Their engine blew on their bucket truck, and so he's having to bring a bucket truck from a different job. That job's not finished till the end of this week. So anyways, we're looking to do that this upcoming Monday. So just an update on that scheduling for anyone who wanted to be there or see it, that's hopefully happening this upcoming Monday. And then the only other thing that I have is some neat information from the one arborist, Tammy, who came through. Let me pull it up in my email real quick. I had sent it to a few folks. Just with, we drove her around the community and she gave us some advice on things that she thought that we could do easily and just things that we could take into consideration for the future. She specializes in Florida-friendly plantings and ecosystems. She did have lots of good suggestions for bird-friendly plantings that we could put in that provide the habitat, shelter, food that migratory birds need and that our native birds need. She had planted a bird garden at her property, and she noticed 60 different species of migratory birds coming through, cute little warblers, you know, like lots of little things that I feel like our community as bird lovers would really enjoy and would help kind of steer us back to being sort of staying true to our Audubon certified bird and wildlife sanctuary status. Even though we don't meet the status requirements now, we could in the future work towards getting closer back to it. So some of the things that she recommended was instead of planting so many oleander and hibiscus, because those aren't usable by native wildlife. They do look beautiful with their flowers, but they also require different bush sprays, insecticides, because they have lots of pests. But she said that we could try plants like Panama rose and firebush that also have flowers, beautiful flowers and beautiful leaves. They come in lots of varieties. We were at her property and we saw a firebush that was called a lime sizzler, and it really is like it stays true to its name. It's like lime green and gorgeous. Anyways, that we could try plants like that that are still beautiful, still have flowers, but don't require bush sprays and don't require irrigation. So when we have droughts over the summer, they're native to Florida, so they're used to enduring those kinds of conditions, and maybe would be a little bit stronger for us. Let's see what else.
Question till Tiffany, I wasn't able to see those, and it sounds like I would like to see those. Do they actually work in the form of the hedges like people want in front of their units, or are these separate things that go in?
The ones that she had, she kind of let them have like a natural shape, but I bet you could trim it, you know, kind of how people like in that topiary style.
Yeah.
I think it would still work, but we could look into it more. I'd be happy to find some pictures. Maybe I'll put all of this in an email and send it to you guys just so that you have the names of all of it too.
Yeah, we can put it with the minutes, maybe.
Yeah,
So
we
people-
We'll do like a
pass this
test
around so you can see what a Panama
do a
rose
little
looks like.
planting
Yeah.
and see what it does in our area and our roads.
Yes.
Yeah.
She lives not too far from here.
Yeah, Hank is here and he just mentioned that maybe we could do a little test plot and that's
how it
one of
works out,
ours, if anyone.
See how it survives in our area.
Yeah,
our
yeah.
conditions.
And that was something that we had talked to her about what if we did a pilot garden just to see how this goes? And I know that we have other priorities wanting to like use our money to hire the arborist to come through and stuff like that. But should we have extra money next year,
Oh, we do?
we could hire her for that. I did get her pricing. She only charges $150 an hour to plan a plot like that. And she said, I gave the example of like, say we want a plot the size of this room, the conference room. I don't know what the sizing is, but maybe it's like, I don't know, 16 by 16 or something like that. And she said it would take her about 3 hours to plan it, which is only, you know, $150 an hour times 3. And that if we paid for the plants ourselves, we could install it all ourselves. We could make it a community program where we all kind of chip in and get some volunteers and we all plant it together, or we could use our in-house staff or pay our in-house staff overtime on the weekends to do it or something, or we could pay her staff to do it. And she did give me the pricing for some of that for the laborers that we would need to put it together. So anyways, that's something that we could definitely talk about next year once we get our budget refreshed, if there's interest in doing something like that.
Find this plot you want, make sure she comes in and checks the ground, see
Yeah,
if these plants will work. We always, oh, that's a good spot, let's do it. It may not work.
Sure,
if the
sure.
plant doesn't accept it.
yeah.
I'm only talking as an old time farmer.
No, that's a great idea. And she did mention that we could do soil testing if we wanted to, but for sure we want the moisture requirements and everything to be right.
Mhm.
But yeah, she gave me probably a list of a dozen different plants that are Florida natives that are beautiful and good for HOAs that we could try, and that also grow a lot slower than some of the exotic flowering ones that we have in the community. So they would only need to be trimmed once a year, which, you know, could be a benefit to our guys that they don't have to, you know, maintain them as often. And she had some advice on plants to avoid. Some of the ones that I wrote down were like the Canary Island date palms, just because they're a desert palm and they're not really meant for tropical environments and they spread diseases a lot easier, fungal diseases and stuff like that. So anyways, I'll put this all in the email so that I don't ramble for too long, but she had a lot of great information. And so I just wanted to share it with the committee to consider for the future.
Well, I think if you come up with this list of plants, we can figure out what they look like, how tall they get, how big they get, how they grow, what their growing conditions are. And then when we do need to replace a hedge or something like that, we can look at, instead of buying oleander and hibiscus, we can look to see what is a good one to, and that would also give us a lot more variety and a lot more color and some different
Yeah.
things, because, you know,
Different things are
I
nice.
kind of get sick and tired of looking at hibiscus, especially as soon as they flower, our guys come and say, oh, look at it's flowering, let's chop it off. So anyway, it's a theory I have.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would add to that, we have, and I forgot we had this, but it was brought up at, I think, the meeting with the people that wanted the hedge, that there is an accepted plant list that we have had for a number of years. And we need to revisit that accepted plant list and add some of these native Florida plants to that list. And
maybe on those accepted plant lists, add a little word like, you know,
We also have
like for the hibiscus, you
I
know,
also
like.
have a couple books that for Florida native plants.
And we could
It tells you
provide.
what they need to grow, where they need to grow, how much money, how much
Where
work, and all that stuff. Yeah, it's in my office.
Okay.
Blowing money.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Jeff, could you say that again?
Yeah, I have several books in my office that tells Florida native plants. It gives you the actual areas, like if it's north, south, east, west, whatever.
Right.
It'll give you the water, how much water they need, how much sunlight they need, the soil aspirations they need, all that stuff. And I also have the plant list in my library too.
Great.
Be a good thing to put into the newsletter so that people could read what plants are, you know,
Acceptable.
acceptable.
And where,
Yeah, and where to plant them.
yeah, that's so important. You can spend the money and you can lose all that money.
That'd be sad, yeah.
If you ever saw farmers, sometimes during a year, there's an area that they
Mhm,
didn't put, and that's where the water, well, they figured they were made that water to go there. So the rest could grow.
Mhm.
One or two other things that I wanted to mention. We have there's a fungus that affects, queen palms.
Yeah,
And I forgot the name of it.
Ganoderma.
Ganoderma.
Was it that
I
one?
think that's the
Yeah.
right one. I have a queen palm in my courtyard that's infected. And it puts out, it affects the roots, and it puts out these wide brown, looks like almost a mushroom fungus type of thing. And it'll eventually kill the palm. And I noticed it recently, and I told Jeff about this, a queen palm next to Tammy Albarn's has the same infection. And so we want to be aware that if we see any queens that have this infection, we have to get these growths off of it so they don't spread. And so it is a disease that cannot be corrected. There is no solution to or remedy for this particular infection. So I just wanted to mention that we have at least 2 trees that I know of that have been infected.
Chris, can I ask, is the recommendation just to take off this type of mushroom bud, or is it to remove the tree itself?
Well, I don't think I think the tree will eventually die. But by removing whatever we can from the base of the tree of this fungus will help, I would hope, to keep it from spreading to the tree.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So that's the main point.
If you don't mind that I fold in, John, my partner Max, when he was working for the county to manage all of their parks, he used to deal with this a lot, especially with queen palms because they're so susceptible. And he said that the only way that they could really get it to go away was to not only knock off the mushrooms to help stop the spread, but then to also cut down the tree because it's gonna die anyways, bag the stump and just let it bake in the sun because it'll just keep spreading otherwise. So I know that that's a more intensive thing to have to do. And we may not even be able to stop it if it's like around us, you know, outside of the community, but that was his experience with it.
Well, let me tell you this. I was back in the 80s living in Miami, which was well known for a sea of green if you flew in, and over 1 million palm trees died there from Ganoderma.
Oh my goodness.
So, you know, it changed the whole look as you come in. So Ganoderma is very serious, no doubt about it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, and if we have to cut these trees down, we probably should. I mean, that looks like it
I
might be
mean,
the only way to keep it from really spreading.
My phone.
Chris, can you tell us, Chris,
Yeah.
can you describe what it looks like?
It looks like a sort of a brown shelf at the base of the tree. And
Brown?
one I had on mine was probably 12 inches by 6 inches. So it was a pretty good size brown shelf-like growth. And it looks mushroomy. It looks kind of like a fungus. But I knocked that big one off, but now I have little white ones coming all around the base of that tree. So it keeps wanting to reinfect it or keep spreading things. So
Yeah.
I knocked the little white things off. I put them in a plastic bag, and hopefully that keeps it from spreading. But I have no guarantee of that.
I would call it like a shelf mushroom, the picture that I see,
Yeah.
it comes out and it's like a shelf.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
so
Test it around.
Yeah, well, I tried that, but it does like you did, and all of a sudden it just disappears.
So the bottom line we're talking about is to cut the trees down, correct?
it looks like at some point we probably have to do that, yeah.
But maybe it would be good to get maybe a survey going in the neighborhood to see how widespread it is, because if it's really widespread, then, you know, we'll just have to talk options, I guess, but.
Yeah, Chris, you could, on the, website, you could put pictures of it. So
I can certainly do that, yes.
people will know what they're looking at.
Absolutely, that's a good idea, because, you know, we have queens all around the neighborhoods and we wanna,
In the news too.
yeah.
Oh, you know, I am writing an article on palms for the newsletter. I could include a little inset of like, seen this mushroom, you know, email whoever
Oh,
wants to be responsible for
It's
it.
kind
Yeah.
of a pretty mushroom,
It is
you
a
know.
pretty mushroom, yeah.
Don't eat it.
It looked benign until,
Dogs or cats or kids playing, with getting it in their mouth, they could
I
be.
don't know,
I don't
bigger,
know
so
if it's
maybe you can see it
poisonous or
from
not.
across the room. Yeah, it is kind of a pretty mushroom.
Wow, poisonous things are pretty.
Oh, yeah, that's
Isn't that
good
true?
choice.
Yes, every poison thing is pretty.
Don't hand it to me, it'll disappear.
Okay, so we'll, do that and distribute it so the owners are aware.
okay.
All right. Any other committee comments? Okay, Gus?
I'd just like to say, as we move forward, now that we've got some funding for an arborist, that our first priority with that is to help us with our ailing trees and making sure that our assets are protected as best possible. And
Yes.
I think the other thing is that we need to be careful about having different opinions from different arborists. That kind of muddies the water up and causes a lot of doubt. And, you know, we need to be singing all on the same page. That makes sense.
So instead of having all different opinions,
Yeah, I think we need to
Okay.
avoid that.
How do you know whose opinion is right?
Yeah, have a variety of
Is it
opinions.
still
It's
good
kind
to
of a
talk about
democratic
it?
Process.
Yeah, is it still good to talk about it here in the committee so we can kind of hash it all out and then get a community consensus and then move forward with the consensus?
probably that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Peter, I had one more thing I was gonna mention, and that is, there was an alligator identified in, the Big Spring Lakes. And I don't know if he's been removed yet. No,
He's still there.
he's still there.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you're walking, near the big lake, just be aware.
Maybe we should put a sign up.
How big is he?
He's about 4 or 5 feet long.
Oh, he's a little tiny baby,
He's,
huh?
he's a little guy. And as long as you don't feed him or harass him, he won't,
Yeah.
or she said, she won't come near you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I think some people would want to see the alligator. Because we could have tours, right?
Yeah.
I just go with a piece of chicken on the end of his thing.
They're tasty.
But I think the signs would be good, especially when the holidays come and the kids come and
When they're
want
out
to
there
fish.
going down to the lakes.
If there's a gator there, the parents or the grandparents should know it.
Well, I think anybody in Florida should know if there's a puddle of water, that's a chance that there's a gator in it.
I'm a northerner. I've only been coming for 50 years, but I'm full-time just about a year, but.
Yeah, and just
I
because
have
it never
to-
had a
I
gator
have to
before,
grasp 'em
they-
and tell them and remind them or stick a thing on the door.
well, I saw a rattlesnake about a month ago by my mailbox, so,
Right, but they're pretty and kids don't know and parents in the city don't teach them about nature. So if they're coming to our place, we gotta be responsible. You know, I'll pull it up on the computer, but don't go looking for it out in the bushes. 'Cause they find different things they get interested.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any, owners' comments?
Is this the
Okay.
time to
Sure,
talk?
sure.
Yeah, I need to also, just one thing.
I've got several things. In the back of my place, I'm at 374 Springdale. And at the back, all of a sudden, everything is dying and I don't know why. And there's holes. My privacy is pretty much gone. It's near the banyan tree on either side of the banyan tree. And I don't know what it is, but all the foliage is just about gone. So,
We'll certainly look at
I've
that.
been looked into,
We'll look into that.
Absolutely.
yeah. And also, I've been
374, right?
Yes,
374
I have it, Peter.
in the
All right.
back, in the back.
Yep.
Yep.
But in the front, on 375, we've had this massive hole, and I shouldn't say hole, an empty spot to where some foliage should be. And I've asked several times and haven't gotten anything. So I certainly like a couple of plants there just to fill up that hole.
Maybe we can put some of these new plants in there.
Yeah, that would be good. And one other thing, they took down a tree. No, did they take? Yeah, they took down a tree. No, I think it's the same tree. They just cut it down. And all of a sudden the birds love it. And I am getting poop all over. And we never had that issue. I mean, I've been there for close to 20 years and we've never had it. But now, so somebody told me to put in reflectors and whatever. I tried doing that. It worked for a time, but and it seems to be getting worse. An owl,
Where is this?
374,
Oh, okay.
in front of 374. The tree in front. I'm 374, but I'm in the corner. So it's, diagonally in front. But you'll see the poop.
Do you know what kind of
It's
birds they
all
are?
over. No.
Jeff, didn't we put a shady lady in there, Jeff?
Yes, sir. We took a carrot wood out, put a shady lady in, and
Okay.
there's still carrot wood there.
Yeah, and that's the one, the carrot, I
The
think
carrot wood is
is the one that's
probably
attractive.
going after the seeds that are
Yeah,
popping out.
but they never did before. So I don't understand it. It's weird. But it is annoying because
Oh, I agree. All
it's a
right.
mess.
If you have birds, though, you just gotta expect some poop too.
Yeah, but I expect a little bit. This is a lot. And I never had it before. So why all of a sudden, if it's not a new tree, I think it's still a carrot. If it's not the new tree, what's the attraction? And can we take away the attraction so they don't make a mess?
We'll look at it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments?
Yes,
One more.
I'm Barbara Carr. I'm over at Woodlawn. And I'm a corner unit with a courtyard. When I bought, I thought everything was fine, but found out I've had the courtyard 6 inches down. Taken 6 inches of dirt out, put stone in. It was flooding. The water was coming into the condo when it rained because it was higher than the condo. I'm still having a couple of problems with that at times when it really pours because the front door is so much lower than the rest of the buildings and the neighborings. I've had the bushes taken out so that there would be lower the dirt. And they're gonna put tiles or stones in there so it can run off, not sit. So maybe I won't you can stand on the sidewalk and look and see in my door. One side is maybe 2 inches, the other side's not even an inch. So it's the building. So I'm trying to change the landscaping to save the building. They're coming into my,
Is this,
and I put new rubber on the door, new, a thicker piece when you close the door to keep it from coming in. and it seems to be working. I had the bushes removed because the bushes keep the water running in the wrong direction. Now we're gonna go back out to the sidewalk and out towards the parking lot, where you park, because we're U-shaped. And I also have on the courtyard, after all this work was done and all the weep holes, almost all the weep holes were open so the water could run out and go down, I call it an alley, but the runway towards the big burn. They have these growing vines. Those were growing on all my bushes. I've cleaned them twice. And they're pretty bushes. They have blue flowers, but I can't keep them gone. So been pulling out the bushes that have died, but eventually I'm gonna have to pull all the bushes because there's weep holes there. They'll let the water flow through and on. And it's the vines hitting the bushes, just like the trees they're killing. And that one, no one knows those beautiful boulders and trees because it's all vine covered now. I don't know what those vines are, but they sell the orange pods. I've counted 4 times this year with seeds. And if I see an orange pod, I pull it off and I destroy it. But we've got to find something to get rid of them. We can always put more stuff down. But right now, those vines are killing everying.
They're invasive, yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
Barbara, is that
And
inside
it's
or
not
outside
just
the wall?
Pulling the vine down, I says, pull the other end, get the root out.
Yeah.
Because they go between the bark. I've done a little, I can't think of the name of it,
Barbara, if
but
I
they
may,
move off the trees. They take the sap out of the trees.
Go ahead, John.
I just want to ask this Barbara, is that inside or outside your wall?
Outside.
Okay, that's something we can deal with. Okay, I'm making a note, okay?
No, I keep cleaning, and if the bush is dead, I'm gonna pull the bush out and put it in a bag and have them toted away
Okay,
on Tuesday morning. But I want to let you know that is happening because of
Thank you.
all the invasive growing stuff in those bushes. And I figured I could always put something more there, and it makes it easier for them to cut the grass.
you
instead of
contribute to our
dodging
trash
the
pile as
ball.
much as anybody.
Pardon?
I say you contribute to our trash pile as much as everybody. It's very good.
Well, there's no doubt that the vine problem seems to be worse than I've ever seen it before, and I'm not sure.
And it's
Why?
gonna get worse.
But there are a lot of vines around. No
And
doubt.
everybody's talking about the different weather we've been having and not having these hurricanes and going to Hawaii, having hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff. And now Mexico, and it's all moved. Did anybody except me see in the newspaper at the beginning of the year from the satellite, they noticed the earth is on a different tilt? We are not tilted the same from the sun. And I wouldn't think twice about this, except I have European grandparents and and grandkids if you weren't in school, you were on grandpa's farm. And you heard and learned. And this also, they were smart enough to plant differently because of the changes in weather and in what's happening in the earth. Many people don't realize the North Pole and the South Pole, that's where the palm trees were and the coconuts were and the oil vats. And you tell someone that, oh no, that's all ice. I said, no, and it's all melting very quickly.
Well, we are getting more tropical.
Yeah.
So I think we will
We took
continue to see.
Which
things
means
change.
that things that grow here are gonna change. That's why the weeds are going so bad.
Yeah, yeah.
I used to have a lady that would go around and pulling vines, and there was even a memo in one of the newsletters that said, if you see her, just let her be. I mean, you know, I haven't seen her
walked my
lately.
dog, and I said, and the one was pulling just the vines off. I says, fine, you wanna kill everything all the way up? She says, yeah. And I says, pull the root
Yeah.
and put it on the road so the sun bakes it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good,
You know, you used to pull the vines, but our short ones can't get any vines.
That's called being vertically challenged. If
Yeah.
you're politically correct.
Pardon?
It's called being vertically challenged, if you're being politically correct.
Very good
yeah,
job.
me too.
Like the potato vine, you get the root, that's fine, but then the potato vine itself
Well,
drops those little potatoes on the ground, and then you have a
no,
million more.
that little orange thing
No, there's,
breaks open and there's 100 seeds in there.
That's not the potato vine. We have more than one vine that's
Yeah.
This is
invasive.
Chinese lantern vine, she's talking.
Yeah, this one I'm talking about has like a little heart-shaped
Chinese
leaf,
lantern
a little big
vines.
heart-shaped.
Yeah, Chinese
The
lantern,
pod,
they're
looks
so
like a little
bad.
Lantern.
Yeah, if you go back, I think 2 or 3 newsletters ago, I wrote an article about it in the newsletter, and there's more information about it in there. But what you're doing is 100% correct. Remove the pods,
So
pull
I
the
can get the
roots.
root out, and
Yeah.
if I got a big enough dog bag, I even put that in there.
Yeah, it's a great idea, and then just put it in the dumpster. Yeah.
When I was babysitting my girlfriend's dog and had 2, you gotta have a bigger bag.
Okay. All right.
They are what is really changing everything here. You have the big, prettiest bluish color stone boulder and another boulder that you can't even see from the main drive. That and a palm tree, just like the movies, that came up and went along the ground. That's all covered by vines in that one area.
Yeah. Yeah, the most that we're doing with vines right now, it seems like sometimes Jeff's team will take them down, and then otherwise we just depend on people to pull them as they see them. So
Yeah.
continue doing that.
You gotta remind them, you know, it's your neighborhood, and if I would like to cut out. They've come across the street from that whole cluster, the T on Wildewood Boulevard onto our wood lawn. They're come across, there's a little cluster by the.
They're
sides
everywhere in
and
the
that-
neighborhood.
I've been pulling, and I've got a couple of neighbors even pulling,
Good.
but then we were told we weren't supposed to do that.
Oh, no, we encourage the
Yeah.
pulling of the invasive ones.
Yeah, because a couple of the taller neighbors were working on it too. We all have dogs, so we're out there, we see it. Especially if it's hot, we wanna get it before it bursts.
Okay.
That's it, sorry.
Okay, thank you for your comments. We'll schedule the next meeting.
October 17th, October 17th, Pete.
All right, good. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
Second.
Okay.
So it's okay for me